Hey everyone, welcome to a YouTube Live here. So in this video, we're just going to be talking about Bitcoin, looking at the top-down approach of technical analysis, looking from the weekly, going down all the way to the 1 hour chart. We will mainly be focusing on the daily and the 4 hour chart for our analysis. But like always, we like to go the top-down approach, looking from the macro picture and zooming in. We will also look at a few tools that we like to use, like the BTC longs chart, and looking at the CoinFarm exchange analysis, looking at the percentage of longs and shorts. So first off, we'll go over the TA, and then we'll use the other tools to sort of verify our bias for the direction that we're going. So looking at the weekly chart, we've already talked about the monthly. We will talk about the monthly when this month closes. So basically tomorrow, we do see that strong bullish candle look like we're going to close very, very well above our descending trend line on the monthly. But talking about the weekly, we do see the price is at our key level of resistance at around $9,600, and that's a pretty pivotal point on the chart here. We see a key level of resistance support, and it was a candle closure on November of 2017. Overall, it's a pretty important zone on the chart, and we do want to make sure that we are taking note of that area. But overall, in that said, we are still freshly broken out of our descending trend line. So let's just draw this right here. So we're freshly still out of our descending trend line breakout. So I do think that we could see some bullish volume come into play. Similar to what we saw in this descending trendline breakout, we had a very strong bullish move up before we started the consolidation of around middle of 2019. And looking at the overall picture, I do think that we could see a push to around the previous highs there, maybe not to the wicks of around $13,000, I think it was, or maybe it was 14, around there. But I do think that the bullish push could keep the buy pressure to around the 12K zone right around here. So that's where my overall bias is. And in terms of the momentum, it's still keeping a strong momentum. The weekly chart does look like it's closing pretty well in a bullish fashion there. We do see consolidation, so it's a pretty healthy move to the upside. I think we could see some consolidation at this zone because it's been used as a key level of support and resistance. But overall, I think a move up to around 11K is a very sustainable move for the overall price action at BTC. So that's where my bias is on the bigger time frame there. And then from that point, I think we could see a consolidation testing that green ascending support there. Taking it back to the monthly, this is kind of why I think that we could see the bullish push to around the 12K zone, is because on the monthly, we do see that area being used as a very, very key zone within the chart. And because we closed so bullish on the monthly, I think that will definitely gain some traction for the bulls because we've clearly broken out of that zone. We have a very, very strong bullish candle closure on the monthly, signifying that there is bullish pressure within the market. Now, I do think that like we saw in the previous pushes, we could see a pullback, and that's why I'm a little bit cautious and I'm not full force in a bullish fashion yet. I'm not going to completely say, yes, we're 100% in a bull run. Let's just long everything. I'm still looking for hedges. I'm still looking for short exposure, even though my main bias is long, because I want to ensure that we're capturing both sides of the market if the market does shift to the downside, by being able to potentially capture a really, really good opportunity for a short near top of a high, so we get some great risk reward parameters. So overall, I am still looking for longs, but I do want to make sure that I'm well hedged in times where we see those highs occur. So now let's look at the daily chart. We've already discussed the bigger aspect of the weekly. Not a whole lot more to go. We're just seeing how the price reacts to the around $9,500 zone. We got a nice little pullback back to the 92, and we'll discuss that right now. But on the daily chart of the CME futures, we are still holding well within the zone of consolidation. Let's just talk about that for a little bit. And we can see basically back in 2019, we saw a key level of resistance, support, 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 and then it turned into a very strong resistance again. So we can identify that, yes, this is a very key zone within the chart. So we're going to have some level of reaction at this area. Doesn't seem like the price is hesitating too much. We're not seeing a whole lot of sell volume come in compared to the buy volume on the way up, which is good to see. But we are getting quite a bit of sensitivity both from the buy side and sell side, and we can identify that on the 4-hour chart where we see long wicks to the downside while still getting the sellers to keep the price down, which is creating a nice little consolidation for us, which is bouncing the price up from resistance to support. But overall, we are breaking resistances and holding major support zones. So it's good to see for the bulls. And I did, when we were holding the resistance as a new level of support, we were talking about that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's exactly what occurred. We hit our final bullish wave. So we got our first wave, second wave, third wave, fourth wave, and fifth wave. And I think at this point we could see a little bit of consolidation. That's what we were talking about before, and that's what we're seeing right now. Is a consolidation sideways, holding the support right now. We could break it, but on the 4-hour chart, there is a lot of wicks coming from below the candle, which is indicating bullish pressure, and we'll talk about that right now. Just wanted to illustrate that the Elliott wave there with the 5 pushes and pullbacks all together, so we could see a nice little consolidation here before our next move up. So let's talk about the wicks that we're seeing on the 4-hour candle, or candles I should say. So we did talk about this very strong cup and handle here. So let's look at that right now. Let's get our snip here. So this is that cup and handle we talked about. So what's a cup and handle? So let's say this is our breakout point right there. We're looking for the price to come, initially hit our resistance zone, have a curved cup shape, and then at the breakout point, we either have a consolidation below the zone like so, and then we break out to the upside, or we have a consolidation above the zone. Either way, for me, it's a bullish indication. And in our current circumstance, we got both a consolidation below the zone. We can see that right here. We were holding above a level of support at the 9K zone. And then we got a bullish push up, breaking the previous resistances, taking out all the short sellers. And then we got a consolidation above the zone. And that's exactly what we saw here. And we'll talk about that consolidation on the 1-hour chart. But at this point, I was pretty darn bullish, not gonna lie. After this candle right here, let's just get our pen. After this candle right here closed at the top here on the 4-hour, I was definitely pretty darn bullish because we saw a nice consolidation. The 4-hour closed above our zone. We got a massive rejection from the buyers at this candle right here because the price came all the way down. But then in that same 4-hour time frame, we got the bulls to push the price above the open, signifying there's a lot of bullish pressure within the market. Unfortunately, after that point, we did not see any more buyers enter the market. We closed not being able to pass the $9,500 zone, and then we saw the bears slowly take over the market, making those small lower lows and lower highs, and now we're basically in the same area within the consolidation, with the resistance at 9,400 and the support being at around 9,200. And now let's jump to the 1-hour chart to see that consolidation a little more closely. So this is that same cup and handle pattern, and let's just make this a little bit longer. And then let's talk about the flow of the market. So we were able to break above this key zone, resistance, 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 resistance. There was 4 touches of this resistance, signifying it's a strong level of resistance. We got this candle right here in the 1-hour chart, a very big, lots of volume doji, which is an indecision in the market. The next candle made a very strong decision to move to the upside. That was a strong decision by the bulls. There's a lot of confidence there, a lot of pressure to push the price up above and hold it after that big doji candle. So for me, looking at the hour chart, looking at the 4-hour chart, this area right here signified a strong level of buyers in the market. Once we saw the 4-hour close I was pretty surprised to not see any buyers enter the market because that was a strong indication on the 4-hour chart of buy pressure within the market. Unfortunately, we were unable to see the bulls push back, enter into the market to push the price higher like so, and we closed back below the previous level of resistance. Previous level of resistance right here around the $9,400 area, it looks like. And then we got the price to hold there above a little bit, but inevitably we pushed down, retested as a new level of resistance, and then made our little impulse move to the downside. And then we are now stuck within our zone of consolidation between the key level of resistance and the major demand zone for below. And that's currently where we are right now. We're just sticking within our level of resistance and support. So this is a resistance, this is a support, and we're just bouncing from resistance to support. Now, it's a little bit tricky because at this point, even if we do get a candle closure above our resistance, that can't really signify that there is bullish pressure, because now this could be the bigger aspect of resistance and support balance, and we don't want to enter too early when we have the price close above our minor level of resistance, which is right here. So it's a little bit tricky at this point because we don't have a clean, crisp resistance that we're working with. We have a major level within the 1-hour chart right here, but we still have this area that we need to really encompass because we've already seen the price test and hold above this zone with no bullish pressure coming into the market, and the seller still taking over when the price broke above this zone right here. So we really want to ensure that we're having the best possible entries at some points here if we are going to enter, because we've already seen the price test and fail when it broke the previous level of resistance. So overall, I'm definitely being a little bit cautious at this point. But on the bigger aspect of things, on the overall chart, looking at the 4-hour, looking at the daily, I still think that we are looking pretty strong for the bulls. We see lots of bullish pressure keeping the price above the $9,200 support. We see a lot of wicks to the downside, signifying bullish pressure. Definitely a pretty good chart overall. We see that this is holding well, the $9,200 support. But on the bigger aspect of things, we have the overarching resistance. So we're just in a tight consolidation. We can even draw a nice zone like so. Let's just get, nope, that didn't work. Let's just get this nice, it didn't work as well. I don't know. Come on. There we go. Okay. So this, oops, my mouse is acting up here. So this is the tight consolidation that we're in right now on the 4-hour, but just looking at the daily, we can see that the price is now basically just bouncing from minor level of support to major level of resistance. This is a major level of resistance. We can see that all along here. So there's going to be a lot of sell pressure pushing the price down. And then this is a minor level of support because we've seen it test as a previous level of resistance and it turns into new levels of support. On the daily candle, we've seen it test twice, where initially this candle was the first pullback, and then we got bullish pressure to push the price back above, and then now we're getting our second test from the sellers. If the bullish pressure is able to keep the price above the $91, $92-ish $100 support, that will look very, very phenomenal for the bulls, because we've seen one bullish injection of buy volume, and then if we see the second injection of buy volume keeping the price above the $91, $92, $100 support, that is a double confirmation of the bulls injecting bids into the market, keeping the price above a certain level within the chart. And we'll talk about the bullish pressure and the buyers versus sellers now, because we've covered mainly the daily and 4-hour chart, and we've even dove into the 1-hour chart, discussing the more granular details of the consolidation within our current area. So we will now go into the BTC longs, and this discusses the, I guess, percentage of longs versus shorts, but looking at it on a chart. So we can see we drew in our zone of confluence because this zone right here was a previous level of resistance, which turns into a new level of support. We see a nice double bottom here, and this is also in confluence with the trend line that I created connecting the higher lows. And this is our nice confluence zone here, and it looks like we're respecting it pretty well at this point. We saw a huge amount of volatility with a ton of buyers pushing the price all the way up from the $7,800 zone when we had that reverse head and shoulders break. And then once we hit the $9,100 area initially, we got a wave of sellers pushing the price back down where we had the low of the cup and handle. And then now it looks like we are regaining those buyers back, which is, for me, signaling that there could be another strong push to the upside. And I'm using this also to conduct my analysis for the overarching picture, because you can basically use technical analysis on anything that shows the psychology of the masses, which this currently is. So that's another level that I'm looking at, is just making sure the bulls are able to keep the price above our previous level of resistance. As long as we're able to do that, I'm definitely going to have a little bit more of a bullish bias. The next thing we're going to be looking at is a coin farm long and short, which is going to give us a percentage of longs versus shorts on both the 24-hour time frame and the 1-hour time frame, looking at three main exchanges: BitMEX, Binance, and Bybit. So now let's look at this right here. And then the first thing we want to look at is the 24-hour. So this is the 24-hour right here, and it's going to show us the percentage of longs and shorts for BitMEX, Bybit, and Binance. So in 24-hour period of time, we see that on BitMEX, there's 52% of people that are shorting and only 47.98, so 48% of people that are longing. So on BitMEX, the sentiment is short bias. On Binance, same thing. We got 51% of people shorting, 48% of people longing. That is going to also signify that there is more shorts in its 24-hour period than longs on Binance. On Bybit, same thing. So basically, there are more people shorting than longing within that 24-hour period. There's 51.3% of people that are short on Bybit and 48.6% of people that are long on Bybit. So overall, in the 24-hour span, the shorts are winning this battle. Now taking it to the 1-hour time frame. So this is going to be just looking at the 1-hour time frame, in which we're looking at either shorts or longs. So on BitMEX, 55% of people within the 1-hour time frame are shorting, whereas only 44 people are longing, looking for the price to increase. On Binance, there is more buyers in the market looking to make money on the way up than there are short sellers making money on the way down. So this is the first time we've seen with any of the charts that the bulls are winning the battle on Binance. And finally, on Bybit, we see a pretty big discrepancy. 58.7% of people on Bybit are looking to short, making money on the way down. Compared to 41.3% of people that are looking to make money on the way up, longing the pair. So on the 1-hour chart, we see BitMEX and Bybit have a lot more short sellers than on Binance, but Binance has a pretty significant discrepancy, but Bybit definitely wins in terms of discrepancy, because Bybit has 58% of people shorting, whereas 45.6% of people are longing. So overall, we are seeing more sellers and buyers, but that can shift pretty quickly. We did see a significant amount of short sellers all up here, but they definitely got stopped out, or they just lost a lot of money. We're not going to 100% depend on that. It does give us a good idea of what the overall market is doing, but I like to depend on price action first and foremost before looking at any other indicator. And in terms of the technical analysis that I'm able to identify, it still does look like we're gaining bullish volume. We're in a bullish trend. We're still making those clear higher highs and higher lows, breaking resistances, holding supports, seeing that bullish accumulation and volume. We can see a lot more buy volume than sell volume overall. And on the bigger aspect of things, we are still in a very strong trend, consolidating nicely, not seeing those crazy spikes. We're in a pretty good trend overall. So I hope you like this analysis. I'm still bullish. I think we could see some consolidation here, but on the bigger aspect, looking at the macro pattern, looking at the macro picture, I do think that we could see some higher highs form. But before that, we will need to break out of this consolidation. I don't know exactly how that will look like. Looking on the hour chart, we have a nice cup and handle here where we see the price hold our previous high and create a support. So I was thinking that we could see a nice test. So we have the cup and handle. So I was thinking we could see a nice test and then a move up, and that would be the consolidation pattern where we would try to enter at the potential low here. After this point, when we broke it, I was definitely expecting the bulls to enter the market. Unfortunately, it didn't, but the overall trend, I think, is still kind of in this motion. So I am going to stick with my long bias. We do have some shorts in the market ready to be implemented if the market does shift, but we need to see those lower highs, lower lows, breaking supports, holding resistances before we look to enter short. I like to see confirmation. I don't want to enter, for example, a short here just because we've seen a previous resistance hold in the past. I want to see a confirmation. Like, for example, I'm not going to short at the high here. I want to see a lower low and a lower high. Then I'd look to enter. For example, we shorted right here, and then once we saw the initial break to the downside, we put our stop loss at that same level, so we were break even. If the momentum continues, that's great. We're going to make money. If the momentum stops, we're going to put our stop loss putting it at break even. And if the price does reverse the other way, we've already got longs well hedged, so we're making money on the way up with a entry basically before we break. So if the momentum continues to the downside, we're able to capture the profits. But overall, we made a fresh new high. We're making higher lows. It's looking pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with our current price action, and although we did get stopped out because the price broke the minor level of support, I'm very, very all right with taking small losses to potentially get that solid gain and the good risk reward. So that's the overall analysis for BTC. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please leave a comment, and we're happy to answer any questions that you may have. We do this very often, so if you have a question within the Discord, if you'd like to have a particular exchange or a particular coin overviewed or us to conduct analysis, drop a comment. We may do it. We'd like to do this very often, so we definitely have some time to squeeze in another analysis if that is something that you're looking to actually have done. So I hope you enjoyed it. And like always, happy trading. Hopefully you guys have a good weekend and are ready to start back up, ready bright and early Monday morning. So have a good weekend, everyone, and happy trading.